Here.
Here.
Kenny?
Here.
Thank you. This evening we have two special presentations. The first is a proclamation declaring Elks National Youth Day. We have two representatives from the Elks Club here this evening to accept the proclamation. And I believe Fred, we got the podium. And introduce our gentleman. What's that? You're gonna read it.
Okay.
But introduce the two gentlemen.
I'm Fred Warren. I'm from the
Put that in the microphone, please, Jeff.
We have with us Fred Warren and Shane Lowe from the Benevolent Order of the Elks. Here's the proclamation. Whereas, in the 1940s, the Elks made a commitment to lay a solid foundation for the future, building the moral and physical character of American boys and girls, the leaders of tomorrow. Since then, the Elks have done much to fulfill that self-charged responsibility, and not for fanfare or publicity, but simply because they know it is the right thing to do. And whereas, the efforts of the Elks on behalf of the young, through youth organizations and scholarships, and by sponsoring athletic and artistic endeavors, summer camps, and drug awareness programs, sow the seeds of accomplishment and commitment that benefit the whole nation. And whereas, the first week in May each year, the Order holds its Elks National Youth Week, recognizing young people for their involvement with the achievements in the community. And whereas, two of the Order's most impressive youth programs are the Elks Hoop Shot National Free Throw Contest and Elks Soccer Shoot. And whereas nationally and locally, the Elks have worked diligently to better the lives of handicapped youngsters. And whereas the BPO Elks, both at the local level and through its National Elks Drug Awareness Education Program, has done stellar work informing the nation's youth and their parents about the dangers associated with using illegal substances, tobacco products, and alcohol. And whereas, in addition to their educational efforts, the Elks work with other organizations and agencies to provide youth with healthy and safe alternatives to drugs and alcohol. And now, therefore, be it resolved, in recognition of the efforts of the National Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks, and in particular, the local chapter of BPOE 2023, and the Borough Council of Morrisville, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, hereby recognizes and proclaims this 19th day of May 2014 as Elks National Youth Day. Thank you.
Yeah, more than that.
Fred.
You want to sign this?
Everyone knows I carry a big camera in my backpack. I apologize.
On behalf of the Elks, we're proud and honored to accept this proclamation, and we'd like to invite you. We have a Flag Day ceremony, which is Sunday, June 8th at 2 p.m. It's right down on Bridge Street at our lodge, Travis Hills Elks Lodge, and we're going to have speakers. We'll have various events, a presentation of the Valor Medal of Valor to parents of a recipient. You're all invited to attend. We'd like to see you there. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before you leave, I understand that the mayor also has a proclamation.
It's not as well.
Okay.
Everyone likes a quick one.
Whereas the Borough of Morrisville believes that our young residents who are junior citizens are a vital component of our community, deserving recognition and support as they prepare to meet the challenges and opportunities of the future, and whereas these junior citizens will assume responsibility as our society in the years ahead need our guidance, inspiration, encouragement to develop qualities of character, central for the future leadership. Whereas we demonstrate our understanding of the hopes, aspirations, and sincere willingness to continue in recognizing partnerships with organizations that encourage the achievement of civic excellence. And whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks, in particular, local chapter BPOE 2023, in tribute to our junior citizens, honoring them for their achievements and to the community and nation. Therefore, I, David Borough, the Mayor of Borough of Morrisville, do proclaim May 19, 2014, Elks National Youth Day. In the Borough of Morrisville, Pennsylvania, we urge all citizens to join me in the special observation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next we will have a swearing in of our new part-time police officer, Christopher Reardon.
Forward. Chief. Do it right there, that way you're in the camera.
The question is,
When was it decided, who decided, and why was it council advised?
Speak to that, and then the chief can speak to that.
I didn't ask the chief that.
The chief had recommended Mr. Reardon and had done all the background checks necessary, and went to our borough manager and said that he'd like this gentleman to be the part-time police officer, and she went through the letter and right, and hired him, and chief hired him.
And the borough code leads to hire the police, the state borough code leads to hire the police to the council, not the borough manager. I know we have an ordinance that mentions that the borough manager has the authority to hire, but I do believe that puts limitations on what council can and can't do. And I've heard a lot of other council members speak to how council hires and fires its employees in the borough and doesn't leave it up to a political appointee to hire and fire its employees, and I believe in violation of the borough code. And I'm going to make a motion later on to amend our borough code, our borough ordinance 65-9.
What political entity are you referring to? He's a political.
Of course he is.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm that.
I'd like to have our solicitor weigh in on this.
Yes, I was asked, our office was asked by Tom Bates if he had the authority to accept the chief's recommendation and hire as a part-time officer. Barbara Burley from my office did research, and there is in fact a
Chief.
Can I give this to you? Because they can't transcribe. They can't hear you. I know you think they're loud, but.
You know what happened when I get this? Okay, this is Chris Rooney. He's a college graduate from Lockheed University. He's a 3-year veteran of the Borough Police Department, working part-time there. He has gone through the same testing as our full-time officers have, and I'm very happy to have him be sworn in tonight. Raise your right hand. Just repeat it. I do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear. That I will support. That I will support. Obey. Obey. And defend. And defend. The Constitution. The Constitution. Of the United States. Of the United States. And the Constitution. And the Constitution. Of this Commonwealth. Of this Commonwealth. And that I will. And that I will. Discharge the duties. Discharge the duties. Of my office. Of my office. With fidelity. With fidelity. Thank you.
Nancy suggested we take one by the flag. For the ladies, yeah, come on. Oh, it'll be okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so next we have the hearing of the public. There are 6 people that wish to speak. Just to be reminded that the time of the speaking is 4 minutes, so I appreciate the following the 4 minutes. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. The first speaker is John DeWatt.
Got it well, night for listening. Actually, I just wanted to say thank you for fixing the potholes. I've been on this sewer for quite a while. Frankly, I think it took a little long, but hey, you know, I'm not a street guy. And I just watching the interaction. Oh, congratulations to our new officer, by the way. That's much needed. Mr. Kilkenny, can you actually cite the ordinance that you were talking about? When you say research, that could be anything.
No,
Wait,
there's
no,
a
excuse me, hold on, I'm sorry, didn't mean for you to just jump into it. It would be helpful if, as you do research, if there's something to support it, people have a number to refer to. It's just a suggestion.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Next person is Marlene Burns.
Hey.
Is it on, Marlene? Tap it.
No, I didn't touch it.
John didn't sound out.
Hello. Yes, I just have a question. There was an article in Bucks County Courier Times a couple of weeks ago about AT&T wanting to put 12 63-foot towers on the Friars Building, the old Stopper Building. And I was wondering what the borough, if they knew about this and if there was any studies done. And it's going on a private-owned building, which means the borough will not collect any money or any revenue on these towers for AT&T. So I'm just wondering if the borough is looking into this and possibly sending AT&T in another direction where we can start collecting money on some of these towers that are coming into town. 12 towers, 63 feet high on the Stockton Building, coming right into town on an historical within our borough limits. So I was thinking this might be a way we can generate a little bit of money if we look around and maybe have them redirected in another building or farther out of town. I just find it very difficult that we're allowing the phone companies to come in, set up these towers, and we're not collecting any money from them. And then maybe there's a better way. Thank you for listening.
I was not aware of it, but if you look over it right now, they probably have 12 to 15 towers already on. But the one you're referring to, I don't even know if that building can hold a 60-foot tower.
Well, it's in the article, in the Bucks County Courier article, it did say if it had any problems or suggestions, because it is considered a historical building, which is another problem. We have very little historical buildings left in Morrisville. Do we want to continue ruining them with these types of towers and things like that? Do we want to try to preserve the few historical buildings we have? Do we have a historical society that can look into it? I know we need to make money, but we're not making anything if those towers go up on a building that's not owned by Morrisville. So it was just a thought and a suggestion. Hopefully maybe somebody will look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
The article was in the Bucks County. And I did call the number, and they never called me back with some questions about my historical concerns and why they would want those towers on the building. Thank you.
And then one called AT&T.
Yeah, there was a number in the article, but they never returned my
Marty,
call.
what was the article? What day was it, just recently?
A couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks.
Some days ago. Okay. There is some good information out there. Thank you.
Now,
Bill, you want to address it?
if you like to now, yes.
Please, yeah.
Say 3 minutes. We thank you for your concern. We have called the same number. We've called AT&T. They have been put on notice before they do anything. They have to come before the zoning board for all the proper approval. As far as the FCC regulations, we have no control over that. That is a government regulated that unfortunately we have to live with. We look at the carriers that do come in, and we do suggest buildings. They do their own study for the height, reception, and what they feel is going to give them the best bang for their buck. What they have to do by FCC regulations, anybody that installs a tower has to install everybody else's antenna on it. The antennas on the Stockton building have probably been there for about 10 years. So this isn't anything that has been new. What we have been seeing throughout town, we just did a upgrade at the towers on Hillcrest Avenue, and we did one at Morrisville Shopping Center, which is probably our newest one. They're upgrading with all the new gadgets everybody gets on their phone. They have to install new software and things, so they have to come reapply to the zoning board, and then then we go that way. If they're just changing a cabinet or something like that, that would not require an upgrade, then that would just be a regular UCC building permit to make sure that everything is properly hooked up and it's grounded. So we are aware, we made the same phone calls as Ms. Burns, and they did not return our phone calls.
Bob and I were talking about it, but it did say in the article the towers were new towers, so.
It would be new because they'd be taking down the old ones and installing new ones, is normally what they do. They would call it a new amplifier, is if they're not going past what was already there, it would be an existing swap out, which would require a UCC permit. If they're going beyond what was there, then that would require them to come back before the zoning board.
So if the upgrade's more powerful, they need to come before.
If they're adding more than what's there, if they're adding more than what's there,
We mentioned 60 feet.
63.
Oh, 63 feet?
That's how high the building is. I believe the building's either 63 or 66
Okay. So
feet
it's
high.
not, the tower itself is not.
No, it's not going beyond what's there.
All right, thank you.
That we have in our ordinance that they can only go so many feet above the building itself.
Thank you for the clarification. Next we have Bill Setzer.
Setzer from the Morrisville EAC, which is our Environmental Advisory Council. I live at 806 Crown Street. First thing I wanted to tell everybody, because it's really important, is to thank all the volunteers that have come out in the last month or month and a half to the cleanups that we sponsored. We did a cleanup of the Morrisville Riverfront Preserve, which is 1,000 feet of riverfront. We had 17 volunteers come out. And let me also mention to everybody, there was, I think, 5 volunteers from the Friends of the Morrisville Dog Park, which were really helpful volunteers, very much appreciated, and our thanks goes out to them. And people from all over the borough, not just people that live down near the park. So thank you for that. It was very successful. Very good news about that is we've been doing cleanups down there even before we initiated the Morrisville Riverfront Preserve project, and each year the amount of debris and dumping and refuse that we have to haul out has become increasingly less. That's a very good thing. People are beginning to respect the riverfront. That's wonderful. And then also thank you for all the 17 volunteers that came out to the Greystone Woods cleanup this past Saturday. It was a wonderful day, very pleasant. We had anticipated working for 3 hours. We found the very same thing. There was so little dumping, so little refuse, and best of all, so little garlic mustard, an invasive plant we've been removing for the last 10 or 12 years, that people came out of the woods saying, we can't find anymore. And we only spent an hour and a half cleaning up the woods. And a little special thanks on that also to Todd Sanford, who attended and brought his chainsaw, and we got rid of some very unsightly logs that were protruding from the edge of the woods and just looked unsightly, and it really looks a whole lot nicer now. So thank you very much, Todd. Thank you. Very helpful. And so anyhow, it's just a wonderful thing that we have people that are willing to volunteer some of their time, because we're all busy to do something that everybody benefits by. So thank you very much. And then the other reason I came to the meeting tonight was simply to mention to the Borough Council members, we did put a 2-page comment from the EAC in your packet. I hope you all had a moment or two to read it. The general gist of it is we'd like to help improve Williamson Park and get the improvements going. I know you hope to use the Bucks County open space funds that are available, and that's a great idea. No reason to let them go to waste. The deadline for applications may be extended, but it might not. So we just encourage you to include us in your plans. I think we could be very helpful, and we should get going soon. And we suggested, as we had, I think it was 4 years ago, perhaps a special meeting with the EAC and any interested Borough Council members and Borough management to discuss how can we move forward on this in a timely fashion and get our open space money and really make Williamson Park a whole lot better. But we don't really have a real definite plan at this point. So if you can address that, we're here to help.
And the 3 dates you're not available are June 3rd, June 12th, and June 18th.
We have other meetings that day. We would make ourselves available, I think, any other day.
All right, thank you. Next is Jane Berger.
Good evening. Jane Berger, 90 West Maple Avenue. First, I'm pleased to see we have the resolution on the agenda tonight to expend the enterprise zone from its original boundaries, which was only Staley and Toll Brothers, to include East Bridge Street and West Bridge Street, going from Delmar to Morris. It's disappointing when the council declined to approve this expansion first presented 4 years ago. I'm glad you're doing it tonight. Hopefully the state will approve this amendment to the redevelopment authority's plan. It gives us another tool to help our businesses and downtown development at no cost to the borough. Second, I'd ask to be here as a member of the municipal authority and ask that the motion regarding the garbage truck repair for over $12,000, be sure the wording does not commit you to do that. Our executive director, Mr. Miranda, is working on a possibility to see if he can obtain for the borough a newer, gently used vehicle that would last you longer, and I don't know what cost officer would be. And since it's in negotiation stages, I would not want to identify the company at this point. But I'm sure Tom, Mr. Bates, you will work with John and follow up on that. We'd like to, with our connections in that kind of business, be able to help you. Third, at the April 21st council meeting, and Mr. Bates did disagree with Councilwoman Smith's statement about the audit to DCED last year costing $6,000, and he was stating he thought that was a library audit. Under right to know, I have a copy of the invoice from Lopez Tedesco Larkin for May 2013, and the DCED audit for the year ending 2012 that Ms. Smith was referring to was $6,000. And finally, there were statements made regarding negotiation process for the AFSCME contract, referring to the past and perhaps roles of council people. And some of those statements were not correct. I won't debate whether council would be part of the negotiations. In the past, it was the manager. But the manager never went to negotiate without first informing the council. And I would hope Nancy Sherlock would remember the 17 years we shared a council together. Usually we get a letter from the union in the last year of the contract stating it's time to negotiate, and they would submit their proposals for things they would like to see. Council would meet in executive session, permitted under the Sunshine Law, discuss the proposals, agree, disagree, modify, etc. We would get from the manager cost estimates of what various increases would cost for each year of proposed new term. And at that negotiation, the manager would be given instructions from the council, and the manager would go into the negotiations. And when both sides would have a tentative agreement, then a contract would be prepared, presented to the council for consideration. And regarding AFSCME, I don't remember any year that we went into arbitration that was amicably decided. So I just wanted to make some of those clarifications of how negotiation process worked with council involvement, but not at the negotiation table. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. With regards to the enterprise zone, I'm glad that we're expanding it, but I was one of the ones that opposed the last expansion 4 years ago because they wanted to go all the way up to the squirrel's nest. And I did not want to see our homes and residents in the 200, 300, 400 block of Bridge Street being subjected to larger businesses. So that's why that's one vote. That's why I opposed it.
And of course, those parameters certainly could have, been modified. It's modified now, and that's the important thing. We can move forward.
Yeah, they were modified recently to do this. Thank you. And Bill Farrell.
Bill Farrell, 347 North Pennsylvania Avenue. Firstly, I see the Johnson Control thing is in progress, because there's an LED light across the street from my house. My question is, how many Borough Council people saw the bids? I asked that acolyte, and there was nobody seemed to know what the bids are. The bid should have been made available to you Borough Council people, not to just the Borough Manager, Mr. Sue. You borrowed $1,250,000, yet the project's going to cost you $1,395,000 or $6,000 to complete. Plus, there was questions about asbestos removal and other things that were not covered in your contract. Where does that money going to come from? A number of people have asked me about the mill that was put on for my favorite topic, the pool. It was added to the budget like a couple of years ago. Somebody said it was a one-time deal. Was it ever removed, and when was it removed, and where do I look in the minutes to see that you took it back? I don't think you took it back. It's still there, and it's a tax increase. And he said it was a pool fee. He said it wasn't a tax increase. It's a tax increase if it's still there. I'd like to read something. Section 105.3. I'm not going to read the A part. The B part. No auditor in a borough having a population of 10,000 or less shall be entitled to receive more than $1,000. complete an audit. Over the 10,000, it's $2,000. That's the limit. You pay $6,000 for audits to, I don't know, it's Lopez or somebody paid it to, CPAs. I have a question for you, Mr. Kilkenny. I was here when you were discussing, you had discussed it for a couple of meetings, about removing the controller position from the borough. And that night, it was voted 5-3. I'm not an optimist when I come here. I'm a pessimist. I'm looking for trouble. Because I know it's going to happen. So, I'm saying to myself, are they going to pass that at 5-3? Because 5-3 is not 66%. Okay? It should have been 6-2, not 5-3. Ms. Berger got up and said, you need 6-2, or you need 2/3. And you said, I agree. I just have a question. At what point in time are you going to say something? You're the legal representative of the Borough Council. And you should have been, you should be aware, some of these items can pass by majority, and some cannot. They have to be 2/3. So I was saying, looks like this one's going to slide under the rug. Thank God Ms. Berger got it.
Thank God.
Right.
Mr. Farrell. Besides the fact that your time is almost up, you knew that it was 2/3 to remove.
Wait a
You knew
minute,
that.
let me finish, you can answer,
All right, go
because, you know, one month I come here, we got a 4-minute limit, the next month there's no limit. I don't care, doesn't matter. The other thing is, people have asked me, how do you resolve the problem at the Borough Council? You want to know what I told them? Next year, you got Borough Council election coming up. You got 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd. People in Morrisville, that's your year. What do you do about it? Go and vote them out. That's all I can say. No, I won't. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Next word, please.
Hello, my name's Fran Quinto, the 410 Finer Avenue. I actually just had a couple questions about what the borough process is as far as hiring new employees. Because I know when the police chief job came up, it was advertised everywhere. And when I went in to pay a bill at Borough Hall earlier today, I noticed that there are new employees, but I've never seen a job advertised. So I'm just wondering if you advertise when jobs become available and where you advertise.
Was that your own question this evening, or?
No.
Okay, well, we'll make a
Oh,
notation.
okay. Well, public perception of the borough is not very good right now, especially when it comes to things like borough jobs. I posted something earlier on Facebook just asking, does anyone know what the process is? Where does the borough advertise? I've looked online, I've never seen anything. I looked in the Courier Times, the only job I've ever seen was the police chief. And people basically said, you have to be related to a borough council member in order to get a job in borough council. Is that true? I don't know. But when I walked into Borough Hall this morning, the new employee is related to one of the borough council members. It's not going unnoticed. If there are jobs available, there are other people in this borough who would like to apply for them other than family members of borough council or current employees. Okay?
those 5 days, if there's people that have responded to those, they are interviewed, and if the job is taken, the job is over. That's how it's done.
So you legally don't have to post it anywhere?
They
other
are
than
union jobs, they're
borough
posted
buildings?
through the union, and that's how the jobs are posted. That's
Okay.
how they're filled. And
That's
they're
not
filled-
how every other borough or township works. They post them on their website, so everyone
They're
has
not
a chance to
posted-
apply.
Please.
Right. They're not posted externally first. If the union doesn't fill any jobs internally, then they're posted outside the borough. They're also filled internally, and the job is called.
It's not helping with your public perception. That was my point.
That concludes the hearing of the public. Next, we have reports. Managers report first.
Okay, Johnson Controls, Jim Petruski from 9th and Murray Beach gave us the final approval on our boiler, which is 92% efficient. The traffic lights in the borough are now finished. The Public Works building, all the work in the Public Works building has been completed. And they have started on the streetlights, the LED streetlights in the streets. They're starting on the back streets first. We did get some bids to repair the sanitation truck. Bob did. We had 2 bids, and they are on the agenda tonight. Even though we get council's approval to accept those bids, we don't have to go out and actually take the truck.
No.
So if we have an offer for a new truck, we'll talk to John Moran and we'll see what happens. We've been working with Peter Bard in the dog park. He's submitted some drawings with me and Bobby about the water and some of the projects in the dog park. The 457 plan that was submitted to Freeman Schuman for approval. They looked over the contract. That is actually no cost to the borough, is a annuity plan for all the employees. That'll be police, borough employees, and MMA employees. That is money that they can contribute themselves into a plan, invest their own money. It's like an annuity. Freeman Schuman looked it over and it seems to have their approval. And you know that's part-time also that was hired. That's the extent of my report.
I have a question. Do you want to address
Johnson Controls also, when we met with the Johnson Controls contractor, the glass contractor. He gave us 3 selections for emoluments. We had the glass in the contract was a charcoal or a gray tin, high performance glass. And the 3 mullion colors that they picked out were black, charcoal, gray, and dark bronze that would go with that glass. We sort of selected that charcoal gray. We took it out, put it up against the stone. It actually went the best of the building, especially since our light gray stone is around the doorways. Also, that's 70% BDDF, has a coating of the frames that'll last pretty much forever. It's preventative salt and everything else. Do you want to say anything, Don, about that?
No, I didn't hear what you said. I didn't know what charcoal was. I didn't hear it.
Oh, it's a darker, right now we have a light gray frame. It's a darker frame, darker gray frame, but it does go with the building. It's very attractive. So also, with the Johnson Controls, we changed our keying system. We are going to go with like a card that's like a fob, a pass-through. We sort of wanted to upgrade our key system so we don't have to go with keys anymore. We'll have a card pass, meaning that when people are locks to open at 7 and automatically lock at 9 o'clock at night. We don't have to have somebody lock our doors for us if we have, say, another meeting, a committee meeting. We can program the locks to open for the committee and lock for the committee. And we're trying to move the borough into the future.
Is that part of the contract?
No.
That was added on? So we have an extra cost for that?
It'll be minimal.
So let me know when that is.
It'll save the borough money in the long run. Let me tell you, by the time we change locks here, maybe 3 times a year, right, Bob?
We have,
I know. And it will, let me tell you, within about 3 or 4 years, it'll save the borough.
I'd like that cost, please.
You'll get the cost.
Okay. Bob, I have questions for you. On your report,
Can you do, solicitors first? If Tom's done with the solicitor, then we'll go.
oh, okay, I thought this was part of the management.
Sorry.
The only portion I have a report, I believe, conferring with President Sherlock, there'll be a brief executive session to discuss a personnel matter, which we can discuss. Other than that, it's been a pleasure working with the manager and council this past month on a myriad of issues you've heard raised with the manager. Thank you.
There's no engineer this evening, so no engineer report. Actually, you want to go first, Bob, and then,
Sure.
Police Chief?
Yes,
Okay. On the report, it says working with borough engineer on a permit for the Bucks County Conservation District on the earth resources permit. Is that employer, is that separate from, does that have anything to do with storm drainage? It's not going up that far?
No, that has to do with the pool.
Okay.
Once you go over a certain amount of square footage of removal, then we have to apply for that permit.
That's separate from that testing we were having done?
No, the testing's done for the lead and the asbestos, we got that back. What we need from you fine folks is what you're gonna save, so I know what we can either put in the pool, we're gonna have to leave, and then we can go forward with the E&S plan.